I present to you my top 10 architectural visualization studios in Switzerland. Let's jump right in.
Number 10. Out of Ram. Out of Ram sits between Milan and Zurich, and you feel that dual mindset immediately. Italian visual culture, Swiss precision. They describe what they do very clearly. Computer-generated environments that don't exist yet, built from references pulled from set design, photography, theater, and cinema. The results are less about showing everything and more about staging a believable situation. Surfaces are treated like real materials with weight, grain, and reflection, while the light does the storytelling. Even when the architecture is minimal, the scenes don't feel empty, because context carries the image. A street edge, a tree line, a horizon, a hint of weather. They are also deeply rooted in architectural culture, founded by architects and visual artists and working in collaboration with architects and a wider network of creatives. The style is controlled, confident, and quietly cinematic, like a still from a film where the building is the main character. Number 9. Oak 3D. Oak 3D is a Geneva-based studio that focuses on high-end exterior and interior CGI, including panoramas, animation, and 3D video. They work heavily with real estate and development teams, but also support architects and design studios when the visuals need to sell a project fast and convincingly. What stands out in their portfolio is how cinematic the reality feels without drifting into fantasy. They like big weather, big sky, and strong horizons, so the building reads as part of a larger place, not a standalone object. They're equally confident in luxury and detail. Facades are crisp, materials are tight, and the lighting is controlled. Cool daylight outside, warm interior glow where it matters. Even when people appear, they're used as quiet proof of use and lifestyle, not as decoration. Number 8. Visualtonic. Visualtonic is a Zurich-based ArchViz studio built by architects who care obsessively about light, mood, and restraint. A lot of their images feel like quiet architectural portraits. They love generous negative space, big skies, and compositions that let the building breathe. In the exterior work, atmosphere is never effects for effects' sake. It's used to simplify the scene and make the form read instantly. A calm field, a soft horizon, one clear focal point. Interiors follow the same logic. Minimal framing, clean material reads, and daylight that feels believable, not dramatized. You get these precise, almost photographic moments where the view, the surfaces, and the furniture sit in perfect balance. Even when they go cinematic, it stays controlled. Night scenes are moody but disciplined, with warmth placed exactly where it matters. They work across architectural competitions, high-end real estate, animation, and 360s. But the signature stays the same. Clarity first, emotion second, and no wasted noise. Number 7. Doppia. Doppia's work feels very Swiss in the best way, calm, precise, and quietly confident. They are based in Basel, and they work primarily in collaboration with architects, landscape architects, designers, and artists, often alongside names like Max Dudler, Berth and De Plazes, and Arup. Visually, they lean into clarity over drama. A lot of their exterior views sit in soft, overcast daylight, which makes facades read cleanly and keeps materials honest. The compositions are disciplined with strong horizontals, generous negative space, and an almost editorial sense of distance. Buildings aren't treated as isolated objects. They're placed inside real surroundings: trees, courtyards, wet asphalt, everyday edges. What I like most is the restraint. Color stays muted, contrast is controlled, And the atmosphere comes from subtle weather and context, rather than heavy cinematic grading. People are present, but tiny and natural, just enough to scale the architecture and suggest how it's used. Overall, Doppia's images don't shout, they explain. And that makes them a great match for architecture that depends on proportion, rhythm, and detail. Number 6. Indievisual. Indievisual is a Zurich-based ArchViz studio, and their portfolio feels calm, precise, and very design-led. A lot of their images avoid drama and instead aim for clarity. You'll see soft, overcast skies, restrained contrast, and materials that read honestly without heavy grading. In the urban shots, buildings sit naturally inside real infrastructure. Streets, rail lines, retaining walls, everyday edges that make the architecture feel believable. What I like is their sense of distance and scale. They're comfortable pulling the camera back, showing the whole site, sometimes even from above, so the project is understood as part of a bigger fabric. And when they go interior, the framing gets simple and architectural. Clean lines, daylight, and a focus on proportion. Nothing screams CG, it just reads as a strong, controlled image. Number 5. The Image Guy. The Image Guy is the alter ego of Matteo Venezian, a Swiss-Italian architect and visual artist based in Lugano, creating commissioned digital images across architecture, design, fashion, and urban planning. What makes his work stand out is the authorial feel. These aren't just clean renders, they read like visual statements. Strong framing, lots of negative space, calm palettes, and a very controlled atmosphere. Details are there, but never loud, and the images often sit somewhere between representation and editorial illustration. You can also feel the architectural background in the discipline of proportions and the way materials are simplified to keep the idea sharp. And then there's the twist. The mood is slightly poetic, sometimes almost surreal, like the image is hinting at a story rather than explaining everything. If you like visualization that behaves more like contemporary visual art than pure depiction, this is exactly that. Number 4. TERO Design. TERO Design is a CGI studio with a very clean, client-ready approach. On their portfolio page, you'll notice a consistent priority. Make architecture read clearly, then add atmosphere only where it helps the story. A lot of their work sits in that quiet, luxury zone. Soft daylight, restrained contrast, and materials that feel believable without screaming for attention. The mood comes from careful composition and calm lighting, not heavy grading. They're especially strong in residential exteriors, where context does real work. Trees, gardens, driveways, and everyday life cues that make the building feel lived in and ready to sell. Their own service description is pretty direct here. They primarily produce exterior renders for developers and architects, and they treat composition as seriously as technical accuracy. Even their workflow messaging matches the visuals. Structured, transparent, and deadline conscious. If they can't hit a deadline confidently, they'll decline instead of rushing the job. Number 3. Nightnurse Images. Nightnurse Images has a very specific signature, poetic realism. Their visuals don't chase glossy perfection, they chase presence. You get dust and patina over showroom shine, and that choice makes the architecture feel lived in and credible, not staged. Their work also matches their own triad: make it visible, make it experienceable, create impact. Complex projects become readable fast, not by simplifying the architecture, but by designing the image so the first impression is crystal clear. Light and atmosphere are doing the heavy lifting. They're strong at controlled daylight, soft weather, and material mood, the kind of lighting that explains space instead of stylizing it. Context matters a lot too. Surroundings aren't pasted on, they're part of the story, because Nightnurse treats the environment as one of the project's key qualities. That's why they work so well for competitions, public communication, and serious architecture clients. The images don't just show a design, they make you believe it already belongs in the world. Number 2. SLASHCUBE. SLASHCUBE's portfolio is all about range, but it never feels random. They can jump from a rough, cave-like spa interior with whetstone and warm pools to a crisp city street view where glass, greenery, and pedestrian life feel completely natural. And then they'll switch again into pure atmosphere, misty mountain landscapes, rainy nights, or a sunrise scene where the building is almost a silhouette. What stays consistent is the way they stage architecture. The camera is always chosen with intent. Long perspectives, strong foreground framing, and lots of confidence with negative space. Light is the main tool. Sometimes it's soft overcast that makes proportions read cleanly. Sometimes it's hard, low sun. Sometimes it's pure artificial glow in a dark, cinematic scene. They're also genuinely strong at integrating people, crowds, small groups, everyday movement, even big event moments. All of it adds scale and credibility without turning into decoration. Their portfolio also shows serious reach, with imagery for studios like Zaha Hadid Architects, MAD, and SOM, which makes sense given their focus on storytelling, not just depiction. Overall, SLASHCUBE doesn't just render projects, they direct scenes. Number 1. Dreisicht. Dreisicht's work is all about quiet confidence. The images don't chase drama, they chase clarity, and that's exactly why they feel so convincing. You get clean framing, disciplined lines, and lighting that behaves like real daylight, with soft shadows and believable reflections instead of CG shine. A lot of their portfolio sits in the high-end residential world, and you can see how they sell the lifestyle without turning it into advertising gloss. Exteriors are calm, grounded, and surrounded by credible landscape, while dusk shots lean warm and intimate, with window glow used to shape the volumes. Interiors are staged with restraint, premium materials, controlled contrast, and just enough detail to feel lived in. What stands out is how consistent the visual standard stays across stills and film frames. Same taste level, same realism, same nothing accidental art direction. It's polished but never loud.
Those were my top 10 ArchViz studios in Switzerland. If you want to discover more great studios around the world, follow the channel and check out ARCHVIZBASE.com, my curated database of more than 1,000 handpicked ArchViz studios worldwide.